All right, top voice on the show this week, Dexter Roberts, non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Global China Hub, to talk about the U.S. China trade tensions and how should the world be bracing for it. Mr. Roberts, thanks so much for joining me on India Sense. Let me start by asking you, how do you see these tariffs layered on top of tariffs by both sides, the trade war between U.S. and China only escalating in the last 1 week?
Well, I think we're now at a point where the tariffs have reached a level on both sides that pretty much bring most trade between the two countries to a halt. And this, of course, has implications not just for the US and for China, but for countries including India around the world. Obviously, China is a key link in global technology and other supply chains. It's also the world's second largest economy, and it's been an important driver for global economic growth as well. China's already facing a slowing economy. The trade war is certain to bring growth down there. Yes. And similarly, we've seen this economic chaos almost in the US with the very high tariffs reflected in stock markets, and eventually, I think, starting to be seen in the job market as well.
Yes. Okay. But in terms of the impact on global trade, if you could just decode that for our viewers in simple terms, because you're talking about the largest and the second largest economy pretty much now coming to a standstill in terms of their bilateral trade.
Well, I think it's hard to, it's hard to exaggerate how serious it is. This would have a real substantial blow to the global economy. Again, China plays this key role, particularly in technology supply chains, so that many of the products that around the world that are bought in one way or another come through the China global supply chain. Again, the economic impact of having two such important economies, as you say, number one and number two, see a downturn, more of a downturn, is something that really affects everyone around the world.
You mentioned tech supply chains. The NVIDIA CEO was in China at a time when global tech supply chains are likely to be hit. How do you see the technology landscape changing, whether it is semiconductors or whether it's any other high-end tech value chain?
Well, I think one very likely impact is higher prices for all of us. China has created a really admirable environment, if you will, for global supply chains. The logistics systems are in place. The labor, by and large, is there. It's lower cost. Moving that somewhere else in the world, which sort of has to happen if this trade war continues, is going to bring up costs for everyone. And it's not going to be a smooth process either. The technology supply chains that have been built up in China have happened over years and years, and it's not a simple matter of just picking them up and moving them either to a neighboring country or to the United States, which frankly is less likely because of the costs there.
Mr. Roberts, this is India Sense, where we always talk about what is it that will take India to be a superpower. I want to ask you, how can we make, or India make, the best possible use of this trade opportunity where we are in a better position, we have lower tariffs, and there are trade deals that are on the anvil? How do you see India making the most of this situation?
Well, obviously, India has already been a beneficiary to a degree of efforts to diversify the global supply chain out of India. We've seen big brands like Apple and others encourage or even put pressure on their suppliers to try to move outside of China, and often India has been a location for that. India, if it continues to keep tariffs low, given also the very, very large size of the Indian market and the potential there, it's quite a natural next step for companies as they diversify away from China.
And outside of the tech domain, what about some of the other sectors where you think we are best primed to possibly make use of these trade tensions?
Well, obviously, the pharmaceutical sector in India has done very well. That's another area. Really, you can look across the board. I mean, India still does have quite relatively, quite low costs. I think many industries could step forward and potentially benefit from this effort to diversify away from the world's reliance on China.
All right, let's leave it there. Mr. Dexter Roberts, thank you so much for joining me live on what could the implications be of the U.S.-China trade war for India in terms of opportunities that it throws up. Thank you so much.